Hey everyone, Kevin with Kitty Hawk here, and today I'd like to walk you through a tutorial on how to submit LAANC authorizations for recreational flights. Now that the airspace around airports has been opened up for recreational pilots, we can get approval for flights below the predefined altitudes established by the FAA. Receiving authorizations like these help ensure that your flights are maintaining compliance with federal aviation regulations and making sure that you're staying safe and legal. Now, the FAA may also require pilots to take an additional online aeronautical knowledge and safety test before being able to take advantage of this new service. And this covers some of the basic rules that every drone operator should follow. Staying below 400 feet or the designated ceiling within controlled airspace, never flying over people, keeping your drone in line of sight, and never flying near other aircraft, just to name a few examples as reminders. So where do we need LAANC? That's going to be within controlled airspace within that 5 nautical mile radius around airports. Hundreds of airports have LAANC enabled, but there will be some that are not accessible yet. So let's take a look and see how we can determine if an airport supports LAANC. Right off the bat on our airspace, you can see this airport here just south of me, showing different colored grids. These are the LAANC grids designating the altitude that we can get approved for. So let's go through some of those examples. I'm going to open up the airspace map for more information. And we don't need LAANC where we are here because we're currently outside of controlled airspace. But if we wanted to do some flying on the other side of the highway here, we can now submit for LAANC authorization. Now that we're in that magenta circle and we're within the LAANC grid, you can also see that our advisories in the bottom left have turned blue. That is also indicating that LAANC is available at this facility. So if we click in to the advisories, you can see that we can get authorization for up to 400 feet here. And again, that will be related to the color of the LAANC grid. So in green, we're good to 400 feet. In the light green, we're going to be good for 300 feet. In yellow, up to 200 feet. And in orange, up to 100 feet. Now these red grid boxes have a 0-foot ceiling. Recreational flyers will not be able to request LAANC authorization within this airspace. So let's file our first recreational LAANC. Let's say we want to do some flying over here. We'll drop our pin. There's our advisories in the bottom left. It is blue, so we know it's a LAANC facility, and we are within controlled airspace. So let's tap Get Authorization up top here. And since we're going to be flying recreationally, let's make sure to select Recreational Flight. And again, we'll only be able to request authorization up to the predefined ceiling. You'll notice we are not eligible for flights over 200 feet. Then we can select when and how long, and we can plan for LAANC authorizations up to 90 days in the future. Now that we've defined our flight boundaries and when and where we'll be flying, we'll be presented with a pre-check of our response. So double check the details, make sure everything looks correct, and we can tap Next. Now this is the final step before our information goes live to the FAA, and you'll notice it is including some information about the pilot, just in case the FAA or the controlling tower of this airport needs to get in touch with you. Towards the bottom, you'll see that we do have a couple details we need to acknowledge. Please make sure that you familiarize yourself with all the rules and guidelines for recreational drone pilots. Make sure you're making yourself aware of any airspace updates, so temporary flight restrictions or notice to airmen. Comply with all the drone regulations. And a little bit about the LAANC process. So when we agree and submit, we get immediate authorization back within Kitty Hawk, and you can see it there now on our map. And we can even tap more to get our additional details here about our LAANC authorization. So request approved. Not only does our LAANC authorization live within Kitty Hawk, but we'll also get a follow-up text message showing that our LAANC authorization has been received and approved. So now we have our approval, and we are good to go fly within this area at this time and date. If you have any questions or concerns with this process, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. And as always, fly safe and fly often.